Hey everybody, welcome back. We got another week, another vlog. This week we're going to talk about some of the components of being a good team paddler as well as steering an OC6. This week's training footage is going to be compiled of what I have available on my phone right now of OC6 steering footage, and we'll talk about some of the tactics that go into steering an OC6 effectively. Overall, being a good paddler is the ability to be versatile with your movement, your understanding of moving paddle crafts, and just being empathetic to the situation that you're currently paddling in. Being a very strong individual paddler is one of the most important components of making a team dynamic more successful. But the ultimate idea is making the team better by you being part of that. Making sure everybody is applying connection with the water in a very similar way at a very similar time. This is one of the most effective ways to move a team vessel fast. Being a good paddler is identifying this, but also having the skill set to morph your movement to match and enhance these situations. They have like the little game for kids where you have like the square block and it goes into like a square opening and then the triangle and the circle and so on. Paddling is the ability to change into any of those to meet the situation that you're in. If you are the best triangle block in the world and you're in a circle block situation, it is never going to fit. And that team dynamic cannot prosper with that. Whether you're paddling in a 2-person boat or a 6-person boat or a 4-person boat or whatever it is. So making sure that you have the ability to make those adjustments to be successful in more situations is just something to keep in mind with your training. When we train individually or in other group dynamics, some of those ideas are imparted on us and many people harden and they're unable to morph and change over a period of time. This is the way that we did it back then, this is how I do it now, and this is it. And if you paddle individually, that's perfectly fine, right? You are the master of your domain. But now if you go into 2-person boats or team paddling dynamics, you have to either change or you're going to hinder the team dynamic. Here at K2N, I have the opportunity to paddle with hundreds of people in an OC2, right? They're usually in seat 1 and I follow along with them. Most of them do not match my skill level. Some of them are literally brand new. Which way do I hold the paddle? When do I switch? What does hut mean? All of these questions show that they're not very experienced. So in the 2-person dynamic, I should be able to paddle the way that I want to. I'm the one moving the boat, right? But that's not how you make a successful OC2. With them in the first seat, I have to mirror and copy what they're doing, even if it is less advantageous than what I personally would prefer. My ability to keep sync with them, move my hips with them, match their blade angles, all of these ideas make the boat go very fast. Maximizing that team dynamic means that I have to put by the wayside the things that I personally want to do for that situation. So again, in training context, just keep it in mind, right? Your ability to be versatile like a Swiss Army knife is more valuable in the team dynamic than being rigid in your ways. Awesome, so the next thing we'll segue into is steering an OC6, right? So steering an OC6 is a terrifying proposition for most people, right? You are going to steer a school bus length boat with a stick. And you got 5 other humans in there whose lives are dependent on your success in commanding this thing. So it's one of the few things that I don't force people to learn to do the OC6, right? There is an inherent level of confidence that is needed that you can't just instill in somebody. That inner confidence and drive reveals itself over a period of time, right? Then you can start to cultivate this idea. So getting into steering performance, this is not a conversation that is broadcasted that much outside of like well tight-knit organizations. 6th seat has one of the largest influences on the boat's performance out of any other seat. Many people are sitting there thinking, well, not really. I challenge you to have somebody in seat 6 who can't steer a boat straight. If they go left and right and left and right, you could have Shelvaha World Championship level paddlers in there, but if you lead them astray and constantly turn the boat and increase the resistance because of the hull turning side to side, they can't go fast. The 6th seat has the ability to actively slow the canoe, but uniquely, they also have the ability to actively increase the speed. So it's a very volatile position. And so when we talk about the ability for the 6th seat to be the difference in race performances, it comes down to how much forward progress they are helping with. When we think of the 6th seat, the first thing is commanding the boat to keep everybody safe. Once you have that foundation, now we can begin making decisions that make the boat move faster. We have a full series on this in the K2N onlinepaddleschool.com that goes on over this a lot more detail, but I'll briefly go over some of these ideas. Poking is the most effective way to move the boat. It takes the least amount of energy and it gives you the most amount of control, but it comes at the cost of actively slowing the boat down. Forward strokes in time with your crew accelerate the boat the most, but have the least amount of play in commanding the direction it's going to go in. The more forward strokes you can do, the faster your boat goes. The more pokes you do, the slower your boat goes. So the overall goal is to take more forward strokes or angled strokes or draw strokes or posts to minimize how much the blade is dragging in the water. And so a lot of the footage that we're going to show here is understanding many of these tactics, understanding some of the metrics. In the 6th seat, if you are in perfectly flat water, you want to be contributing 90% of your time and strokes to forward strokes. Going into the ocean setting, some of the most high-level paddlers and crews on the planet expect 80 to 85% forward stroke contribution from the 6th seat. It becomes a game of tactics, right? Once you understand the objective is to integrate more of these forward strokes and draw strokes and angled strokes because they move the boat instead of dragging it, you can now begin articulating these series of movements to your advantage. If you don't have a game plan and you don't have tactics, you will find yourself poking more because it's easier and it's instantaneous results. Committing to multiple angled strokes to turn your vessel over a long period of time is almost a gamble if you're not in tune with what the canoe is going to do before it does it. Many paddlers that are learning or have a poor feel for the canoe itself struggle tremendously in integrating these forward strokes without their boat going all over the place. So I'm going to dub over a lot of the workout footage that I have in various OC6s and various locations and talking about stringing together more and more of these contribution strokes and minimizing the amount of dragging corrections. If you're a steersman and you want your crew to go faster, it is on your shoulders to command the boat as well as propel it effectively. And I hope this video is more educational to help you see some of that in real time, understand some of the tactics, and hopefully integrate some of these ideas into your own game. Thank you guys so much for checking out the vlog, and I hope you enjoy the footage. All right, so we're back here on Lake Hernando. So I figured I'd start with some fun clips more than the technical ones, but we'll get right into the technical ones here. So this is paddling the OC6 by myself. And I forgot how it came up in conversation, but I've always threatened the crew that I can paddle the boat faster without anybody in it. And that's totally not true. I can only get it like 5.1 miles per hour. The GPS is kind of all over the place because the amount of inertia and momentum and stuff kind of throws off the smoothness that the GoPro kind of needs to have accurate readings. But yeah, sitting in seat 5 to kind of control the boat. If you have access to an OC6 and you want to paddle it alone, send me some footage. I want to see what it looks like when other people are doing this and not just my crazy self. Recently, just on, this is Wednesday, so it'll be Monday, we just flew the AMA in the OC6. So I wanted to show that off. Everybody's learning how to fly the AMA on the OC1, the OC2 with me, and putting those skills into the big boat has been a first time for us as a club. It's kind of scary having that 50-pound AMA 7 feet away crashing over and the boat taking in water. So we don't normally fly the AMA for that, but it's pretty cool seeing the culmination of skills coming together for, you know, a team-oriented goal. So paddling in the 6th seat. So right here, this is again Monday footage. We only had 4 people in the OC6. So it is easier to steer with the 5th seat empty, right? And so learning how to paddle steer more with an empty seat 5 goes a very long way, right? Because half of what you're seeking is a feel, right? You're trying to get a feel for what the canoe is going to do before it does it. This allows you the ability to input very small corrections and command the boat, right? If you make your correction a second too late, you have to poke, right? Because the amount of momentum that pulling the nose is more than draw strokes can accomplish. But if you can make these corrections before the momentum kind of catches the tail and pulls the nose around, you can simply do draw strokes or just angled strokes or a bunch of forward strokes will command the boat. One of the other aspects of paddle steering is you're going to have to switch a lot, right? If you try to stay on one side, ultimately you're going to have to poke because the boat will get away from you. So switching every 3 to 5 strokes is something that is very common in general when you're paddling a rudderless boat. If you're thinking of a Va'a or a marathon canoe style boat, switching is an innate skill that is very important. One of the other things to think about is the length of your paddle blade in proportion to your cruise. So my blade is like 6 inches longer. So I always touch the water first within the stroke. Being slightly out of sync there, that very initial contact with the water is a way to steer the boat for a moment before all the other blades are inputting. Angled strokes are longer than a normal forward stroke, right? So you'll see on the angled and draw strokes that I'm going to touch the water quite a bit sooner, and it's a methodology just to control the boat better. So here's an unlimited out in the Gulf of Mexico. There's a little bit more swellage going on. Again, seat 5 is empty, which makes it a lot easier to use the forward strokes to command the boat. Adding in another person into that seat just changes the dynamic and the feel. And it makes it slightly more difficult because you have to be very alert and very quick with your switches and timing with a 6th person in there. It is possible to do, and it is something that you should strive to try and do, right? The whole purpose of this video is just to shed light that, again, some punk random nobody in the middle of nowhere can do it. It means you can do it too. The idea is possible as long as you pursue the tactics towards it. So again, lots of forward strokes. In the ocean, in flat water, you may have to poke, right? And it's not the end of the world to do it. You're not looking for 100%. You just want more forward strokes. So here's some more footage. This spec boat is very similar to the one that I have in Hernando. So just integrating in forward strokes, helping that crew move that boat. Poke corrections should be limited to 1 to 2 of your cruise strokes. Right, that's usually a pretty good guy. If you got to poke longer than 2 strokes from your crew, you are way late to the party, or you're getting blasted by the wind, or you just got hit by side swell. If you're in control of the boat and you're focused on speed, try to make sure that when you do integrate in the pokes, you can see them every time that I do it. It's only for 1 stroke, sometimes for 2, depending. Coming into a sprint here. We have that buoy. We're trying to finish on the right-hand side. My wife in the surf ski. I can never let her win, so she's got to earn it. Coming into some turns, right? So this is a very hard poke. Once you poke, you're going to lose leverages because the tail is swinging around, right? So transitioning into draw strokes will further pull the tail around, ultimately the nose as well. And it'll help accelerate you through a turn, right? So you can see that OC2, we're able to catch up to him as we did that turn. Harassing my wife again. Being an excellent steersman is being cerebral and using every advantage that you can to your advantage. So here's the turn again. They take it close. I'm taking it wide, starting with a hard poke and then using the draw strokes to further pull the tail around. These draw strokes add a bit of forward momentum, right? This angled, I'm reaching forward and pulling in. This is accelerating that boat around that turn. Slowing the boat in any context is not good, right? You don't want to beat your crew to death. So with the wind here, the wind is pulling us around this turn. So I'm able to just go draw into a big post and we clear that buoy, making contact. It's not illegal here at Lake Hernando. And now these are all forward strokes. I have not poked yet to make this 180 turn. And the wind on the left is going to equalize and pull the nose back to the left, so I actually don't have to poke here. So it's all forward strokes. And the last clip here is my wife steering the OC6 with the ladies crew right here on Lake Hernando. Pretty low wind. There's more wind on the lake that she's approaching here, but this canal section is super flat. And this is about a minute unbroken of her paddling, using draw strokes and forward strokes, and using all of these ideas to her advantage. So again, it's just a game of tactics, knowing that you want to set up into a situation where a couple of draw strokes, a few angled strokes is going to correct your boat, right? If you let the boat drift astray, you have to poke.
And those are the tactics and the cards that you're dealing to yourself, right? Keep in the back of your mind that you can switch sooner, you can switch quickly, you can do a series of movements to control the boat and integrate in more forward strokes to help your boat speed. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video this week. If there's any ideas that you have on things to do, let me know. And I have no problem breaking down footage, going over more race footage, or anything that you guys are interested in. Big thank you to all of our channel members. And thank you all for watching and being part of the K2N OnlinePaddleSchool.com. If you're interested in any training plans, go over to the website. It's only $20 a month. I'll write you out some custom training plans. We'll work together to help meet your goals. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next week.